Welcome to the Conscious Investor. Let's get started. For some reason, I don't always get to spend time with women on the podcast. And I am always so excited when another woman who is a super amazing, extraordinary person, because I only have the best on this podcast, joins me. And today I am joined by someone who's actually, she doesn't know this, but she's been an inspiration to me watching how she goes about things. So Bethany, I just want to say thank you for joining me on The Conscious Investor.
Thank you, Julie. Great to be here with a fellow Idahoan too.
I know, it's really exciting. You made the exodus. You made a reverse exodus, actually, which is interesting. Most people are moving from California to Idaho now, and you've been in California for how long now?
About 3.5. 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. The reverse exodus.
Yep.
So Bethany, there's something that we were talking about off air that really stood out to me, because some people might say, oh, are you a workaholic? So you and I have a lot in common, and that is that we're building multiple businesses at the same time. And you love what you do. So can you tell us a little bit about what is it you're building? Let's start there.
Sure. Yeah. So my husband and I, my husband is Nate. We call ourselves your cash flow couple. We're very passionate about all things business and entrepreneurship. So just coming from a background of, lived really great, stable lives as children into teenage years, and learned the value of hard work and education. Both of us went to college, kind of were on a trajectory to kind of have a typical career. My degree's in business management, his is in aviation. But we always had this like hunger to be entrepreneurial. I'm not really sure where that comes from or why people are wired that way. I think a lot of people kind of fall into it, but we just really wanted to be able to build something and be creative. And we were finding, like, after our regular day jobs, we were spending our time, working on marketing projects and thinking of business ideas and things like that. And so we just kind of were gravitating that way. And we like building things together. We work well together. Obviously, you have, in any couple dynamic, you're going to have some strife and some arguments and things like that. But by and large, we really enjoy working together and bouncing ideas off each other. And, we have different strengths and different weaknesses that we can complement. And so we spent several years trying to figure out what are our niches, what business models suit us best, what industries suit us best, and ultimately fell into real estate investing. Primarily, that's been mainly my focus. And I have a background in residential real estate and worked for a really phenomenal team based in Utah for a few years with them, but I really wanted to get into commercial in some capacity. So here we are doing the multifamily thing. And then, but we were also looking for multifamily investing. We kind of talk about as like our long-term wealth creation strategy, building retirement. Things have changed in society. We don't, people don't really have the pensions that we saw our parents get after working for the same company for 30, 40 years. People are hopping around jobs, especially with the pandemic. That's changed things, I think, forever in how work is done. And so, preparing for like retirement in your later years, it's a different strategy that we have to use now. So real estate investing has kind of been our focus for that. And then we also saw the importance of having a cash flow generating business, a business model that you can make, larger sums of money through, that you can then in turn invest into real estate. And so ultimately found a really phenomenal business based on the World Financial Group platform. And that's developing a team. So much like a real estate brokerage works, where you have a team of agents that you train, develop, and then ultimately they can go open their own offices. And it's based in the financial services industry, which is essentially the biggest industry out there, larger than real estate and retail combined. So lots of demand, lots of need for what we do. And they're very symbiotic industries. They complement each other and work well together. So that kind of complements our strengths and, us working together as well. So that kind of in a nutshell is why we do what we're doing right now.
That's really exciting. By the way, you guys are like seriously the most adorable couple out there, and anyone listening should just go and follow them, because some of the posts I just remember, like I'll see posts of you guys working and it's working, but it seems like fun. And there's this concept in our society that says, if you're working, it must be tedious, boring, it must be exhausting, you must not enjoy it. It's like somehow we've programmed and conditioned ourselves to believe that work is a negative thing. And somehow, I'm just going to loop this around full circle. I think Nate got to go hang out with someone I love and haven't met, but Ed Milet. Didn't he go? He got to go on his jet and everything.
Yeah, we were mentored by Ed, phenomenal human being. And if anyone listening to this doesn't follow him on Instagram, YouTube, his YouTube podcasts are super fun to watch and listen to. And so yeah, we're fortunate to have a relationship with him, and definitely someone to follow. But yeah, it's amazing what you find in seeking out and surrounding yourself with mentors, that are doing what you want to do, or in a space that you want to be. We're really big on, if I don't have kids, I can't give parenting advice. If someone comes to me and is like, hey, how do I do this? I'm sorry, I can't help you. Nor should they take my advice. So it's like, you always want to go to people that are doing what you want to do, or in a position that you want to be, and listening to them and taking advice. And so we're very blessed to have some people in our lives that are kind of helping us get to that place where we'd like to be.
It's phenomenal. It is. Interesting. We'll go down this little rabbit hole. I'll swing it back around. But even taking my kids to school this morning, we were talking about the power of who you hang out with, and you will become. I actually told them, step away from your friends today, watch them, and ask yourself, is that what I want? Is that who I want to become? Because you will become like the people that you choose to surround yourself with. So, I know that you've been very. You guys are surrounding yourselves with people that I imagine are people you'd want to become like. I mean, I look at who you surround yourself with, and I think I want to become like those people. They're good people. They're salt of the earth. They're very successful. They're people of contribution and doing important things in the world, not just turning a buck and, living a high life. So,
when you mentioned earlier about, working, having work be fun, the value of hard work and things like that, I 110% agree. I just love it when people find, industries or niches that they get into that they truly feel like. For me personally, and I think for a generation at large right now, people want to feel alignment and core values. We've been doing some interviewing this week for a real estate company. And every interviewer that's come in, I'm like, why are you looking for a different position right now? And they're like, core values. They don't align with mine. The boss is doing something that's immoral. Got this over here. They don't value this. And I'm like, it's not about pay. It's not about, hours. It's not about anything like that. People really want to feel like they're appreciated, and then they're in a culture that's got good values. And so when people find an industry that they can get into and really feel like they're giving back, they're contributing, they have impact, they're making a difference. I was just reading an article about the other day about that's what our generation is seeking right now. We're not looking necessarily for the highest pay, the greatest setup. We want to know we're making a difference type thing. So
it absolutely. And I'm seeing the reports come out about this all the time. Now, I don't know if you, Bethany, can hear this, but I have some woodpeckers that spring is coming. And so if you hear some tapping, it's because I can't go hit my wall and there's a woodpecker out there. So,
that's cute.
Yeah,
you're up in one of the most beautiful areas of Idaho, I have to say. I never spent a whole lot of time up there, but so pretty.
Yeah, it truly is so pretty. So, okay, I mentioned Ed Milet because we were talking about work being work, and he just had this very interesting interview with Mike Rowe on that concept of what is work and defining work. And it was a really powerful episode. I highly recommend anyone to go back and listen to it because it will challenge you on your perception of work and corporations. But how did you and Nate decide to shift gears? I mean, you were on one path where it's, hey, we've lived, pardon the expression, we've lived the vanilla. We've done what's expected, right? Like we've had this, and now, I mean, you're like, we're going to add sprinkles to our lives and add some chocolate chips or something if we're at the little froyo bar building this, because you're adding so many other layers by saying, you know what, we're going to invest in ourselves and in our company. What was that transition like for you?
I think it comes from a place of looking for, like, I love to always find what's the fastest, most efficient way. So not like the quickest kind of slap and dash kind of messy way, but like, what's the quickest, most efficient way that I can make XYZ happen, or I can accomplish this goal, or I can make X amount of money. Like, I want to know what's the fastest way to get there. Like I mentioned earlier, having a mentor, I really see as kind of a shortcut for that, where you can learn from their experience, what they've had to come through, go through, what they've learned along the way, the resources and referrals that they would have for you too, because connection, there's nothing more powerful than connections, and so we were just always kind of looking. This was up until about 10 years or 2 years ago, 2.5 maybe. But we were looking for something. Like, we had the multifamily real estate business going, which was great. That's mainly my endeavor. I enjoy it. I'm very passionate about it. But we were looking for something else that would kind of be a different business model, something unique that would have no ceiling on it, that we could make whatever kind of income we could dream of, really. We wanted to have a team and an environment of people that are coming together, helping each other, building each other up. We travel together. We do life together. We work together, but we do life together. Nate, I don't know why, but both Nate and I just really like to be productive at all times. Like, don't get me wrong, we watch TV, we goof off, we do things, but we like to be like productive in what we're doing. So if we're hanging out with friends, we love the fact that we can like be hanging out with friends, have a beer or something, but then also be talking about business development or self-development, which is helping them grow their businesses or helping them train an agent. And it's work, but then it's fun at the same time. I feel that same way about multifamily. I'm here all week working, but for me, it's fun. Making new hires and doing things with the properties and looking for new properties and things like that. So like, there's a saying that's like, if you love what you do, if you love what you do for work, you'll never work a day in your life. It's maybe a little cheesy. At certain points, you're going to have to do things you don't like to do. But if you're in a space that you really, truly love and feel like you're making an impact and making quality connections and helping others, I think that's where you get those juices flowing, where it's like you're energized, there's a lot of momentum, and you don't really care how long it takes, work until midnight, but it doesn't really feel like work. You get in your flow state. Ed's really big on that. You get in a flow state for work, and time goes by like that. So that's kind of what we're always, trying to master and keep going.
All this resonates so much with me, and really Brendon Burchard even discusses this in his books. On it's a consistent theme is like having growth friends, right? And our friendships aren't just these alliances just to do life with on a social level, but to do life on a much richer level, and to understand, what are your goals in life? Where do you want to go in life? What do you want your family to be like? What do you want? What are your hobbies? Like, actually strategically being around people who are wanting more and knowing that's what my friend wants and I'm going to support them. And it's just this whole different level of friendship, right? that comes from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our closest relationships now are people that we are growing with. You know what I mean? Like, I love friends from when I was younger, but honestly, I don't have many friends from when I was younger. Just kind of go in a different direction or whatnot. But then you meet these people that really become family, like friends that are family. But you have a common goal, you have a common, vision that you share with them, and they become your work partners, but then your life partners too, in a way. and the sense of accomplishment that comes from that. And I love how in entrepreneurship you can kind of take nothing and turn it into something and see a monetary reward from it. And then also the impact in people's lives. Like we especially see this on the financial services side. We like see tangible life change happen in someone where their mindset is like, well, I can't do that, I'm too shy. I'm like, well, you tell yourself you're too shy, but you just, let's work on this. Like, and kind of helping them fight through those mindset issues. Or on the real estate side, take a troubled asset that's not performing very well. Maybe it's got some issues like drugs and crime and things like that going on. And then you can stabilize it within a few months. And now it's like happy and peaceful. And there's like kids playing outside. Like, I just love that transformation where it's like, it's all from having a mindset shift. Somebody had to initiate that change and those things to happen to make that result. And it really all comes back to your mindset.
What I'm hearing from this is something that I say regularly is like that ripple effect and the power of one person. And one person can cast this extreme ripple effect in the pond that reaches far out. So when you choose to, when any individual chooses to work on mindset and to overcome limiting beliefs or past traumas or whatever it is that's holding them back, what you're saying is absolutely true. Well, now I can go in and I can support this person in making the next steps in their business and growing themselves. And look, I can stabilize this asset. And now this community looks totally different. And the ripple effect continues from all the lives that are impacted that we touch. It's endless.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that. So the first real estate deal that we got on the multifamily side, it's a little 36 unit, kind of a small apartment complex. It was the bad kid on the block. So it had, drug dealers. Every time I'd gone to do a site visit, you could see like drug dealers swarming around. Lost their first loan because there was a drug deal gone bad in the laundry room. Police were there when the lender showed up.
But that was really great.
Yeah.
Good thing it wasn't the appraiser.
Yeah. But it was a bad, it was a bad apple in a good neighborhood, and it was attracting all the bad stuff. Cleaning it up, having contract security, putting in better lighting. The neighbors on all sides reached out. We're like, thank you for what you're doing. I don't have people running through my property at night, ruining my tenants' stuff, knocking their flower pots down, the police force, police, it doesn't have to be there anymore. They were there multiple times a week before. The trash service. Hey, you guys are, making it easier for us to pick up trash. Any vendor that was coming in the property to do things. It's just, you're exactly right. The ripple effect that can happen in a community at large, just from that one property, is huge, not to mention the livability, simple enjoyment of life and for people trying to live there, that are peaceful and everything. So yeah, I love that. Super, super rewarding.
It is super. I'm going to even take it further to say the owners of the neighboring assets, their stress level just dropped. So when their stress level drops, now they're showing up as someone different to their partners or their employees. They're showing up different at home. Trash collectors, they're going to show up different at home because they're not going to be griping about that one, bad kid block, it's just, it really goes so much deeper than I think most people give it credit for. So that's really, really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
You're also really into building community.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, you and I've had some very specific conversations about a specific community that you help build, and it's a huge community. It's really cool. But you're just one of those people, a magnet for building a tribe. So, and you're doing that through your businesses. Oh, I have a question I got to circle back to. I'm just like putting a little knot there, right? A little knot, like sticking out on my forehead. Like, come back. But, so what are your thoughts on building community? What makes that a success? And how does one go about that?
I think everything comes back to relationships, any kind of successful business venture. Like I mentioned, this week doing interviews for a real estate team, the core values thing, that's people right there, people enforcing those core values. And so if you're able to become a student of people, this is something that Ed Milet has taught me in large amount. He's such a student of people, understanding people, being emotionally intelligent, understanding like what's their motivation behind how they're acting right now or what they're saying. They may be saying or acting one way, but like what's the true motivation behind it? That's also a hugely translatable skill into sales. And if you just listen to people and ask a few key questions, I'm a non-denominational Christian, and I love how in the Bible, Jesus, time over time, just ask questions of people, to really get to the heart of the issue, putting the focus back on them. But like, if you're able to, connect with people, get them to like you, show real interest in them. And it's not hard, it's not hard at all. It's just being genuine and showing that you care. And then with the team dynamic, it can be hard. It can be bumpy at times, getting different people to work together. But really understanding different, motivations and personality styles behind that. We're using a coaching program essentially called EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, in our real estate business right now. And it's been phenomenal to kind of determine, okay, everybody's backgrounds and the current seats that they are in on the bus, are those best seats for them, and kind of understanding the personal dynamics behind that. But then interpersonally too, determining, okay, how are we best working together here? And you're going to have one person who's a visionary and one person who's an integrator. And the integrator's role is to kind of make sure everybody is playing along, getting along and in finding out the root issue. If you have somebody on the team who's maybe like being snippy and fighting people on things and not really, being a team player that week, I just try to, talk to them. What do you got going on in your life right now? How are things going? Oh, well, got construction crews at my house and they're making a big mess, or my kid's acting out, or I was just diagnosed with an illness, but it's like so it wasn't the work wasn't the main issue. It's like personal stuff was the main issue. And so trying to isolate those things for people and helping them be okay talking about it. Cause I think a lot of times what we see in our industry is a lot of times people will just like clam up and just not talk and ghost you and not answer your phone calls or whatever. But it's like, I think a part of that is them having trouble coming to terms with themselves and being able to talk about maybe a deep-seated issue or a thing they have in their past or whatever. And so just trying to, ask questions, get a feel for who people really are, and then understanding different personality dynamics and how those can work together. And it comes from self-education. We aren't taught that stuff in school. We aren't taught that stuff in college, but it's like 110% of what business is like in the real world, knowing how to understand people, work with them. So that's kind of my feeling on that, I guess you could say. In community, coming through just trying to build those relationships. I see this most on the real estate side, where, like I was mentioning, that property that we have now, a good relationship with the police department and a good relationship with the water department and, these kind of community resources. But it's like, if we can all just get on the same page and strive towards a common goal, we can, get that. We have a motto in our real estate business called bag the punks, like
I love it.
Get rid of the bad guys, and that's not okay here. That's not going to fly in our community. We're not going to house this person or turn a blind eye to that behavior. It's not okay. And so, getting others in the community, other neighbors, I've had conversations with other apartment owners. I'm like, you do realize you have this going on at your property, right? And they're just like, oh, really? Oh, I have a great contract security company if you want to hire them for, so just, being willing to like exchange referrals and resources and things like that has been really key to help build that community too. Like, what do you need right now? What are you missing in your business? What do you need a key hire? Do you need a resource or referral for something?
But but that is it. It is all about building community and the relationships. And I think that's a switch that we're seeing in the business world, is that transfer from it's just dollars and cents into this is relationship driven, and good business is based off of relationships, shared values, common goals, and we can go faster and further when we are aligned correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I totally agree with that.
I love that. For better or for worse, I actually was having a conversation with someone at a conference recently and just like, wow, sounds like you need to reposition that person within your company because they're not being successful there. And anytime someone's not being a success, if we're not doing well at something, I think most people want to be successful. They want to do well at whatever they're working on. And when they're not, their feedback to themselves is not going to be positive. They're probably not going to be receiving the positive feedback from their boss or their colleagues, right? And so I'm like, just, is there a possibility that you could just transfer this person to a different role where they can be successful? Everyone will benefit from it, but that's a courageous move to pivot and to shift people around.
Yeah. And then maybe somebody's just overall not a good fit. You know, they're bad for the culture, or they're bad for, I've exited a couple past endeavors that I didn't have the decision-making ability to let someone go. And the supervisor or whatever just refused to let him go. And ultimately it ended up killing the team in a way, you know, until they did let that person go. It's like, sometimes if you got somebody toxic that's just not willing to be coachable or change or pivot for the good of the team, then you gotta let them go.
Yep, those tough calls have to be made. I know that we don't have much time left. There's one last question. I'm like, remember a sticky note on my forehead, basically, and that is, when you love what you do, and I'm a person like you where I love my business, and now it's this huge blend of, since I'm in full-time real estate investing, it is like my friends are investors, you know, my life is full circle, full immersion in this space. And so some people who are my friends that are not, you know, part of my investment space, they're like, you just work all the time. And I'm like, I don't, I mean, sometimes it is work, but usually it's just like, I love what I do all the time. It's my hobby also. So I'm curious for you, because you and Nate really love what you do as well. How do you find those balances? Do you feel like I don't like the word balance, but you know, but how do you find that? Do you find this be an issue at all? And how do you navigate it?
I think one aspect of that has been finding other people that are crazy like we are.
Right.
You know, weird, slightly weird. We're okay with that. We're okay with being weird, slightly crazy, and working all the time. You know, we've gotten that comment a lot, especially from our, you know, familial network, our families, our extended families. You know, you guys work too hard. You're moving all around, like doing all this stuff, blowing and going, like, but they understand we have a goal. You know, we feel a big responsibility too, to be able to be there to take care of our families in the future, to have a longer lasting impact after we're gone. You know, we have big contribution goals and things like that. So it's like helping people understand that mission of where you're headed and why you're doing it. That helps a lot, I think, with that kind of, you know, chatter that can go on, I guess, in your respective circles. But finding other people that are aligned.
I love it. I love what you're saying about, you know, just being able to point people in the direction as to, hey, this is why I do what I do. Like, I'm not just some crazy workaholic. I have a purpose and I know where I'm going and why I'm doing it. And I think more regularly we're hearing people understand that medical costs are rising, care for our those we love as they get older, as they mature in life, that cost is going to be exorbitant. And to be able to put ourselves in a financial position to where we can support them is huge. Absolutely huge.
Yeah. Or if you have you know, we have some mentors that are really big, and we have one mentor named Jeff Levitan. He started a charity called All for One, and they build orphanages in third world countries. You know, if you have a drive to do something along those lines, or I'm really passionate about eradicating human trafficking. And so there's a ministry called A21 Ministries, and the lady that started it, her name's Christine Kane. And she tells the story of when she started that group. She felt there was a big trafficking issue that she was aware of, and she's from Greece. So she was there traveling and was like, this is not okay. Something needs to happen about this. And then the first group of young women that they were able to find and help, you know, escape that situation, Christine was like, God brought us to you to, help you guys and everything like that. One of the young girls looks at her and goes, well, what took you so long? Like if you felt that desire and that need and that drive, like what took you so long to do something about it? And she was like, what did take me so long?
Wow.
And that story I think about like constantly, because it's like if you have a cause or a people group, or whether even if it's your own family, like that the work that you could be doing right now to help put you in a position to be able to say, hey, I've got this $40,000 heart procedure that you need, or I've got a place for you to live, or I've got we just want to be in a position where we can be able to do that both with our monetary means, but then our time too, because you can never buy time, but being there for someone, or being able to take a month off work to be, with my mom if she were in the hospital, or dad, like that's priceless to me, to have that freedom and those options. So that's what we build for.
That's huge. Absolutely huge. Bethany, you and I have spoken in the past several times, and I know that we could continue on our conversation. And I really appreciate and value just the contribution that you're giving to the listeners and to the world in general. You're really, truly impacting lives by how you are going about things. And I want to say thank you and invite you to say, hey, people are listening to this and they're like, wow, I want to learn more about what they're doing with financial services. What's that about? Or they want to learn about your investing. Where can they go?
Probably the easiest place would be on Instagram, or we have a Facebook page, same handle. It's Your Cashflow Couple. So Your Cashflow Couple, we do, updates. We give some financial education, talk about real estate a little bit. Anybody that's looking for guidance or information, or maybe some steps to take to start their entrepreneurial journey. We're just really passionate about that. We love sharing, what we've gone through, both lessons learned, time spent, and then money invested. Can kind of learn. We've learned a lot just trying different things. So always looking forward to sharing that knowledge with others. But that'd probably be the best place.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And to you, amazing listeners, thank you for joining us for another powerful episode. And make sure you reach out. Make sure you go and follow, Bethany. Sorry, I don't want to say the handle incorrectly.
Your Cashflow Couple.
There you go. So make sure you go follow Your Cashflow Couple on the social platforms, because, it's also just inviting those daily drips into our lives, like level up your scroll and put good things into your feed so that you're always leveling up everything that you do. Until next time, live big, love bigger. What's the big deal about investing in apartments? Why is it better than investing in a slew of single-family homes? I've compiled a lot of information on why investing in a multifamily, also known as apartments, will help you reach your investment goals. Head over to 3keysinvestments.com and download the Why Invest in Multifamily guide today.